Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
All right, we've been waiting on it for months and months and months. And as of today, the news is all but official. The illustrious University of Oklahoma is going to have a new athletic director in short order here for the first time since 1998, which, of course, is when the great Joe Castiglione took the reins. His successor, Grayson Singleton, one Roger Denny, longtime lawyer who's worked in college athletics for the last 4 years as sport administrator for football at the University of Illinois and earned a promotion this past June to deputy director of athletics. Now, I've seen a lot of reaction on social media. We've obviously heard a lot of reaction from listeners on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. When you learned of the news that Roger Denny was going to be the next AD at the University of Oklahoma, your reaction was what?
It's a massive step up in the world for one Roger Denny, but one that I'm willing to give him an undisputed chance. 100%. What we've got to realize about being an athletic director today is that the qualifications have changed. The qualifications for when Joe Castiglione was hired and the qualifications for today have been updated. They're almost night and day. And if you look at Pete Thamel's tweet underneath his announcement that Oklahoma had set their sights on Roger Denny, it says his experience includes collective bargaining, private equity, and mergers and acquisitions. All four are things that are going to be part of the college landscape in short order. Collective bargaining, right around the corner. Private equity, already here. There's going to be mergers and acquisitions. We've seen that in the media landscape, which is the main drawer of revenue in college athletics. So all four of those things that are becoming more and more a part of college sports, he has had experience in. So is it a splash hire? No. Is it a big promotion for a guy who was an deputy athletic director at Illinois and now becoming the athletic director at Oklahoma? It's a huge step up. But I'm willing to give it a chance because he's got a law experience, he's got experience with collective bargaining, and all of the other things that, if they're not here already, are coming down the pike to becoming influential in the college world.
Yeah, now look, I'm not here to sell you on Roger Denny being the next great athletic director at the University of Oklahoma. I'm not going to promise you 3 decades of success, the likes of which Joe Castiglione has enjoyed at the University of Oklahoma. Only time will tell. But I think in terms of the sensibility of the hire, Grayson, this is a hire that makes a ton of sense. Because the conversations that we had and that so many had in recent months as we tried to figure out where Oklahoma was going to turn in the post-Joe C world was, okay, if you go with somebody from a business type of background, if you go with a business person, somebody who's not familiar with college athletics, can you get away with that? Or are you going to need to hire somebody with experience in collegiate athletics specifically to understand all of the nuances of the job and the responsibilities that come attached? But similarly, if you swing to the other end of the pendulum and you hire some longtime athletics administrator who's kind of set in his or her ways and not as adaptable and not as well-versed in all of the unique challenges that come with navigating the modern day and the present era of college sports, then are you going to be leaving meat on the bone there? Are you going to have to fill in the gaps there? And so, to me, Roger Denny is kind of the perfect happy medium. He's a guy that doesn't have a lengthy background in college athletics, but he's got a recent background in college athletics. He's been in the game since pretty much the start of the NIL era, right? He got in in 2021 at the University of Illinois. That was the first job in collegiate athletics that he's held. It's the job he took with the University of Illinois in 2021. Prior to that, he was practicing law. And that's where the private equity, mergers and acquisitions, et cetera, all that stuff, that's where all that comes into play. But he's somebody that has been abreast of all of the developments and continual change that the sport at the administrative level has witnessed over the past 5 years. And so to me, this checks all of the boxes, meets all of the initial criteria. We didn't know who the hire was going to be, didn't feel like anybody could figure out heads or tails of what the hire was going to be until the news dropped from Pete Thamel earlier this afternoon. But now that we know, it's pretty easy to look at the guy's background and say, okay, that makes sense for where Oklahoma is as a program and where they want to go, and where college athletics is as a whole and where it's probably going.
And that's why I'm willing to give him a chance. And look, I'm not going to sell you that it's a grand slam hire. I'm not going to do that because I don't even know. But I'm willing to give it a chance. And you mentioned something a couple of sentences back, that we were talking about this in terms of should you go the business route instead of the sports route in terms of experience and familiarity for the new AD. We left out a very, very big industry, the legal route. And that, I think, to be quite honest with you, is the best one. Because when we talk about all these things in college sports, what do we always come back to? Judges, lawsuits, and court battles are things we talk about every single day when it comes to eligibility, when it comes to money, and so on and so forth. I don't mind having an AD. Again, I don't know how he's going to translate in terms of managing an athletic department, but I don't mind having an AD who has expertise when it comes to the judiciary in the United States of America, because it's so intertwined with all of the happenings in college sports. So business side, sure. Athletic side, sure. I don't mind having to do with a legal background one bit. I think that's advantageous.
Here on Locked In, the show is brought to you every single day by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. It is the new year, folks, and in 2026, if you find yourself in the market for a brand new vehicle, check out Dorsey Jones. GMC, of course, offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUV on the road today. And Dorsey Jones complements that with their outstanding service, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So get out there on a Saturday, maybe not this Saturday because of all that we're expecting with the inclement weather, but get out there on a Saturday, get your oil changed at half price. That's a heck of a deal. We appreciate the good folks at Dorsey Jones. On the text line, you want to chime in, 405-651-3439. That's how you make your voice heard. Let us know how you feel about the hire. I think the text line might have broken on us there for a while because there was about a 15-minute window where no texts came through. So that might be a consequence of the weather phenomenon that is sweeping the nation right now. But it looks like all these texts are starting to flow back in. So things might have gotten bottlenecked for a second. But a listener in the 386, that is a Florida area code, says he might not have a lengthy background in sports, but he's made it 5 years at the same institution in a day that people are fired at a rapid rate. That gives me hope. And maybe this won't get talked about quite enough when we're looking at Roger Denny's background, but he was, let's consider for a moment that he was the sport administrator for football at Illinois. And Illinois has had success over the last 5 seasons in the Brett Bielema era, the likes of which they have not traditionally experienced as an institution. That is a program that is outperforming what their historic standard has been on the gridiron. Now, does Roger Denny deserve the credit for that? Not entirely. Obviously, you have to give credit where credit is due, and Bielema and his staff have done a good job as well. But when institutions are successful, when programs are successful, well, successful programs, successful institutions are driven by successful people, and it's those people that tend to get looks, tend to get opportunities, tend to have their names mentioned for bigger, more important jobs across their particular profession when you're experiencing that level of success. So I feel a lot better about Roger Denny given that he's coming from a place like Illinois as if you were hiring somebody from, I don't know, say Kentucky or Nebraska or Arizona, one of those schools in the middle tier of the sport that's just kind of average and has been average in recent memory. No, Illinois has been on the up and up as a program.
I knew we were going to get a question like this, and we've gotten it on the YouTube chat, which search up KREF Sports on YouTube and we'll pop up. Where is the experience in name brand marketing, fundraising, and more sponsorship? And I've thought about this over the past hour and a half, ever since the news broke. And no, there is no written experience with that, even though I think he's had something to do with it as the WAD at Illinois. But can I venture to say that programs that are successful sell themselves? I mean, look at the conversations you and I have talked about when it comes to Indiana, right? Indiana starts to look competent, win a national championship. All of a sudden, Mark Cuban comes out of the woodworks and starts ponying up his dollars. You and I talked about Miami yesterday. Miami was in the national championship. All those donors with the money, you know that they are going to be inspired to be active in terms of giving to the program. So I don't know if he has a whole lot of experience in fundraising. What I do know is that if you operate a successful program, people want to attach their name and their dollars to winning. So I think at that rate, the program's just going to sell itself, regardless of who the AD is, as long as football, especially here, remains successful and in the playoff conversation.
Mark in Frisco on the text line asks, is he going to be in charge of hiring and firing coaches, or is that the GM? Well, okay, let's try and clarify here. Are you talking about football coaches specifically or just coaches across the institution? Because I think there's a misconception, and it's not a common misconception, but I see it every now and again where somehow there are certain folks that have been led to believe Jim Nagy is OU Athletics GM as opposed to OU Football's GM. So like Jim Nagy is going to make the decision as to whether Porter Moser is fired or retained as OU men's basketball coach. No, those types of decisions are in the hands of the athletic director. When it comes to head coaches and also assistant coaches to an extent, but head coaches specifically, those that are directly overseeing each respective sport, it's up to the AD to make those types of decisions. Now, the head coach within the confines of their specific program has authority. If Brent Venables wants to fire one of his assistants, as long as that's something that the athletic director and the general manager can get on board with and aren't diametrically opposed to and willing to go to war over, then Brent Venables has the authority to make those decisions. Jim Nagy, from his position, has a lot of authority over the football program and what happens therein. As he has said many times, he's working hand in hand with Brent Venables. He's not necessarily Brent Venables' boss, nor is Brent Venables Jim Nagy's boss. Both share some authority there. And so the athletic director, though, is the one that has the final say on all matters for the most part. Now, when you're talking about OU football specifically, the other significant figure in that whole equation now is Randall Stevenson, who has been heavily involved in the process of identifying the next athletic director over the last several months. So it's a collaborative effort. It's a cooperative effort. When it really comes down to it, and you have to make big picture decisions, and somebody has to give the final yes or no, this is what we're doing, not doing, that decision is going to be in the hands of the AD. But when Roger Denny gets here, and I am encouraged to know he's a football guy with a background in that particular sport, when he gets here, he's going to have plenty of authority figures within the football program that make his life easier because of their expertise and ability to execute certain decisions.
And to that point, too, do you think Oklahoma pulls the trigger on this guy, makes the hire, if he doesn't understand and if there's not a collective understanding about the hierarchy and the chain of command? I think he's going to understand that. Michael on the YouTube chat is not too excited about this. He says, Grayson PT, y'all doing your best to spin this dude, but the hire looks weaker by the hour.
Okay, first off, it's only been 2 hours. So there's not much of a pattern there.
No.
But also, elaborate for me, Michael.
Yeah, Michael,
why is
exactly,
the hire weak?
Why exactly do you think that?
Because, again, what I'm telling you is, I'm not trying to spin anything. I'm giving you my honest opinion. I'm not going to promise you OU Athletics is going to have success under Roger Denny. I'm not going to promise you Roger Denny is looked upon decades down the road as a successful athletic director for what he accomplished over the course of his tenure at Oklahoma. But what I am telling you is, given the criteria, given the boxes that needed to get checked with this process, given the demands of the current landscape of collegiate athletics, this is a hire that on paper makes a ton of sense.
It does. And by the way, you know who else has been very successful at Illinois, excuse me? Brad Underwood in the basketball program.
Ooh, OU head men's basketball coach Brad Underwood?
No, I don't know about that. I mean, he would complete the Bedlam gamut at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, obviously Brad Underwood got there before Roger Denny did, but he has seen what a successful basketball program looks like, and obviously he will likely be involved, in all likelihood, in whoever the next basketball coach is, unless Porter Moser miraculously turns this thing around and saves his job. But he has been witness to a successful basketball program, so maybe by osmosis, he can bring some of those ideas over here to Norman if and when that situation arises.
Recruiting Boomer says, just curious, but what happened to Zach Selman being the quote-unquote AD in waiting and, he'll just come back when Joe C. retires? If memory serves me correctly, Zach Selman departed Oklahoma in January of 2023. So almost exactly 3 years ago. Consider how much has changed within the fabric of college athletics in the last 3 years. Short answer, a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Would Zach Selman have been the ideal hire in a past world where we're not actively fighting battles such as an NBA player gaining immediate eligibility at Alabama or Duke and Miami going to court over a transfer quarterback worth $10 million? There was a time and a place where the hiring of Zach Selman made a ton of sense. But I also think it's fair to say that time and place, or in that time and place, that hire made more sense than it does now. Because you need somebody, ideally, with a bit of a different skill set. There may come a point in time down the road if Zach Selman really establishes a formula for success across multiple sports at Mississippi State that there's a willingness and a desire to bring him back as AD. But for the here and now, with Joe Castiglione stepping down in the year of our Lord 2026 officially, it takes a certain man with a certain skill set in this certain moment. And Roger Denny fits those criteria.
Yes.
I like the hire. Will it be successful? I don't know. But I like it. And to me, he checks all the right boxes. 405-651-3439. Let us know how you feel. Here on Locked In, coming up next, we'll dig into recruiting. We'll no doubt continue to talk about the Roger Denny hire. And we'll get to many more of your text. 405-651-3439. Once again, this is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here on Locked In.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Dove Schools is looking for a math teacher to teach math at secondary school. Candidates must have a bachelor's degree in math or math education and 1 year of experience as a math teacher at secondary school level. Job is in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. If interested in this opportunity, mail your resume to Dove Schools, Inc., 5601 Northwest Expressway, War Acres, Oklahoma, 73132. Attention HR. Refer to ad #MC.
They don't want to hire you because your paper might say Oklahoma School for the Blind.
I was just completely homebound because I was always too afraid to go outside. I want to be a productive member of society, and that's what DRS has given me.
They offer you opportunities to getting a job, helping you learn how to advocate for yourself, find the best way to try living your life in the fullest way possible.
Oklahoma and DRS has been the biggest blessing in my life.
See me.
Not my disability.
Shop during our Customer Appreciation Days at Eskridge Honda. We're Oklahoma's #1 Honda volume leader, and we're saying thank you. Shop today and save $2,300 off MSRP on a new 2026 Ridgeline RTL. That's $2,300 off the new 2026 Ridgeline trucks. Sales, service, parts, or quality Honda vehicles. Experience the difference great people make. Visit today or shop at eskridgehonda.com.
Stock number 260323, 9 to choose from for AHM new car sales for 2025.
What's your next dream? Paying off your credit card, remodeling your kitchen, exploring the rainforests of Costa Rica. Whatever your dreams, they take some planning, and State Farm agent Scott Tavares is right here in Moore to lend a hand. As your local good neighbor, he can help you look at the things you want to save for. Come up with a plan to make those savings goals happen. Because your money should work just as hard as you do to achieve your dreams. So whether it's being free of debt or free to roam the world, call State Farm agent Scott Tavares, 405-794-0020. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Gear up for the Trails Golf Club Winter Blowout Sale with 20% off all apparel. Short and long sleeve shirts, pants, shorts, rain gear, mid-layers, and outerwear. Need a new golf bag? Get $50 off any Titleist, Ping, Callaway, Sun Mountain, or OGO bag. You also get 20% off all accessories. Hurry into the Trails Golf Club in Norman, 3200 South Berry Road for incredible savings. Sale ends February 28th.
My name is DeMar Hamlin. I play for the Buffalo Bills, and I play safety. CPR saved my life. I've teamed up with the American Heart Association as a national ambassador to help create a nation of lifesavers, turning bystanders into lifesavers through CPR education and access to AEDs. Nearly 3 out of 4 cardiac arrests that don't happen in hospitals happen in homes. Join me to ensure everyone has the chance to live longer, healthier lives. Visit heart.org/nation.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
At Child Fund, hope means helping millions of children living in poverty worldwide grow up healthy, educated, skilled, and safe. And that means safe at home, at school, and online.
Hope means walking this path together, all of us. Because when we work together, we can do so much more.
That's right. Hope includes you.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
Learn more at childfund.org.
Well, the Buffalo Bills are conducting interviews for their head coaching position this week. The latest candidate that they're evaluating and interviewing today, none other than Unc Marmalade, Philip Rivers. I kid you not, Philip Rivers, allegedly today, per Adam Schefter, is interviewing for the head coaching job with the Buffalo Bills. Now, heck, I'm not mad at it. I love me some Philip Rivers. A Philip Rivers-Josh Allen professional marriage would be amazing. And I would just like, we need Philip Rivers in the NFL. Having Philip Rivers back for the month of December as the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts was life-giving. Outstanding. Loved every minute of it. So, is he going to get this job? Probably not. But if he did, it would be really freaking cool. Have we ever seen somebody go from playing football in the NFL one year to being a head coach the next? I know back in like the 1910s and 20s, there were player coaches because everybody had player coaches in that era. I think like Curly Lambeau was a player coach for the Packers. But have we ever seen somebody make the transition from NFL player to NFL head coach instantaneously like that?
Not head coach, no.
Obviously, guys, like Kellen Moore will go straight from the well, I guess from the sidelines to a different role in the sidelines, because he went from being the Cowboys' backup quarterback one year to, like, I think their quarterback's coach the next year. So there are guys that retire and immediately jump into the coaching profession in some sort of assistant capacity. But I don't know that we've ever had somebody retire and immediately get a gig as a head coach. That's got to be pretty unprecedented.
Hey, did you see that snowboarder turned drug lord got arrested today?
I did see that. Yes. Ryan
Wedding, yeah. Supposedly they found him in Mexico.
What a wild life, man.
Bro, have you seen the charges?
I imagine they're extensive. He's one of
They're
the top
bananas.
Yeah, he was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list.
Yeah.
So it's probably not a short list of charges he's going to be facing. Hey, man, what is he, like 44?
Yeah, I think that's what his age was.
Yeah, well, he's had his fun, which is good because it's over.
He is
You're
cooked.
going away.
He is cooked.
You're going away, big dog. Speaking of big dog, Jerry Schmidt.
Yeah.
Jerry Schmidt, there had been some buzz since really the second that the season ended, Grayson, that Jerry Schmidt might be stepping away. He might be retiring. This might be it for Jerry Schmidt at the University of Oklahoma. This might be it for Jerry Schmidt professionally, period. Well, as was reported this morning by my colleague Brandon Drum at OUinsider.com, Jerry Schmidt isn't stepping away from Oklahoma, but he is taking on a new role, a different role. He has served as Oklahoma's head strength and conditioning coach over the last 4 seasons. Of course, it was his second stint at Oklahoma. He was previously the head strength coach here from 1999 all the way up until 2017. So outside of a brief little detour to Texas A&M from 2018 to 2021, which we all so fondly remember as the Benny Wiley era at Oklahoma, Jerry Schmidt has spent a quarter century at the University of Oklahoma. Unfortunately, he is not going anywhere. He is merely taking on a different role within the organization. He will be the chief of staff, which is a role that was previously held by Woody Glass, whom, as I understand, is stepping away from the program permanently. So, Jerry Schmidt will be your chief of staff at the University of Oklahoma moving forward. Your new head strength coach, new Schmitty, is James Dobson, who has been on staff for the last 4 years as Jerry Schmidt's right-hand man. And much like Roger Denny, in a sense, this is a guy that feels and appears, at least on paper, to be very qualified for the role that he is going to step into. He is somebody that has done it before. He was the head strength coach at Nebraska. I want to say the years were 08 to 14 there. And then Vanderbilt 15 to 20, I do believe. So he has over a decade of experience as a head strength coach. And he now takes the reins for the illustrious University of Oklahoma as the head of S&C. How do we feel about this?
It's interesting because my mind naturally goes to 2024. You had a litany of injuries in the receiver room. 2025, it was the offensive line. So I think the question is going to become, what changes does he make? And obviously he's not going to do everything exactly like Schmitty did. So those little tweaks that he has in his method of operation, can that keep guys healthy? I do think that's the big question. Now, Oklahoma came out on the fortunate side of a lot of those injuries because they found out what a gem they had in Michael Fasusi and that Ryan Foje was pretty good. But 2 years in a row, your a specific position room has been blasted by injury. So is there a way, whether it's conditioning, training, recovery, what have you, is there a way that he can work in lockstep with the medical staff to make sure that Oklahoma doesn't have another position room that is completely neutralized by injury? That's to me is going to be the biggest question I have. Oklahoma's physical enough to play in the SEC. We all know that. They've got big receivers now. Quarterback looks like $1 million. So they've got all that in lockstep. Can they stay on the field is going to be the question.
It'll be a different era. You got to think there will be plenty of Schmitty influence in the way that James Dobson runs his S&C room. But, you can argue maybe it was time. Maybe it was a natural juncture with Joe Castiglione moving on as AD, with just the increasing modernization and change within the sport the last few years. It was time to get some new blood in the S&C room. And I know Schmitty had been the target of some criticism as well. I'm not sure how much of that was deserved, but when you have as many guys get hurt as you did in 2024, you got to point the finger somewhere, and Schmitty shouldered some of that blame. But James Dobson is officially taking over. I do believe, from what I've been told, Josue Matias, who was one of Jerry Schmidt's assistants the last 4 seasons in the S&C room, I don't believe he's being retained. I don't believe he will be back with the program. But Schmidt to chief of staff, Dobson to head strength and conditioning coach, and now we just wait to see how he fills out a staff, which will also be something interesting to monitor because there will be changes made up and down the staff as a result of this. By the way, we all knew it was happening. It had been talked about throughout the afternoon, but it is now official per the University of Oklahoma. Roger Denny has been appointed as the Sooners' new athletic director. I want to read you a few quotes from some of the leaders who were involved in this decision-making process. This comes from the university's press release just moments ago. OU President Joseph Harris said the following, quote, "College athletics is undergoing profound disruption that requires us to think well beyond conventional structures and roles. In Roger, we have the next natural leader who understands both the complexity of the moment and the opportunities it presents. It is clear Roger will advance the bold vision needed for OU to continue leading in a highly dynamic environment. We have already seen the transformational difference Randall has made to OU athletics with the success of football this past season." That's in reference to Randall Stevenson. "His continued engagement will ensure a smooth leadership transition, to a new era of Sooner athletics." Here you go. Here are Roger Denny's first comments since being named the athletic director of the University of Oklahoma. He said the following, quote, "I want to thank the OU Board of Regents, President Harris, and the search committee for their confidence and the thoughtful process that brought us together. Oklahoma has a proud tradition in college athletics, and I am honored to join a university that competes with purpose and pride. My focus will be on putting student athletes first in everything we do, providing them the resources and support to excel in competition and in life. I look forward to working with Randall, our coaches, staff, and the OU community to build on this legacy while winning national championships now and in the years ahead." So there you go. Some added color here from Randall Stevenson. Quote, "Few industries have undergone as rapid and radical disruption as college athletics, and I am grateful for the bold actions that the Board of Regents and President Harris have supported in our football operations. Roger is the ideal candidate to lead Sooner athletics with his deep legal background, serving both the professional and college sports industries. He is a proven operator with a competitive intensity and drive to win. His passion for college athletics, student athletes, coaches, and staff is the right recipe to position OU for national championships." And per our own Toby Rowland, of course, the sports director at News 9 and former morning host here, he reports that Roger Denny is expected to officially take the torch from Joe Castiglione as the athletic director on February 15th. So that will be day one of the new era. The Roger Denny era at Oklahoma, per Toby, is set to take place on February 15th.
I mean, I laid it out in the first segment, but it seems as if that legal background is something that really stood out to Oklahoma in the process, and that's what Randall Stevenson alluded to in that statement. So, it'll be interesting, but in terms of the qualities and the background that you could have for a new AD, you can't get much better than a legal one, in my opinion.
I'm not sure if KW and the 918 is beefing with the Dobson promotion, the Denny hire, or both.
I think it's the Denny hire.
But he said, does OU ever just go out and get the best guy qualified for a job? Or is it always a promotion from within or promoting someone from the outside for a job they've never done? Listen, KW, again, I don't know whether that's in reference to Dobson or Denny, but let's take the example of Denny here. Let's act as though you're referring to Denny with that text. Oklahoma had a dozen people on that search committee from all different backgrounds, all different perspectives. They had a dozen different people that weighed in, and I'm sure many others that exerted some influence on the process, even if they weren't named to the committee officially. But when all the decision makers in that process get together and they come to the agreement that Roger Denny is the best man for the job, I mean, what are you looking for at that point?
Yeah.
What more are you looking for than a consensus from all of the figures, highly qualified figures that were involved in the process, coming together and deciding this is the guy that is best equipped to lead the University of Oklahoma's athletic department?
It's interesting that a unanimous decision can generate some negative feedback. But again, it's an AD hire that really nobody knows who it is, so I understand. How about this from Braun on the text line? How does this hire make sense in this era? What about Denny shows he is able to increase revenue, raise funds, is media savvy, so he's a contract. He's a lawyer that is able to write up contracts. That's why you have your deputy to handle that. Now, I did a little bit of research in the last break. The Fighting Illini Athletic Department, this according to the Journal Star, there was a study that valued the Fighting Illini Athletic Department after fiscal year 2023 at $665 million. That is 25th on the list of most valuable athletic departments in the country on a list that listed the top 75.
Okay.
Fiscal year 2024. Sports yielded more than $174 million in revenue, almost $25 million more than fiscal year 2023, and $52 million more than 5 years previous to that. They were also in the black in fiscal year 2024, which was a change from the previous 2 years where they were in the red.
There are very few athletic departments that operate in the black.
Exactly.
Nationally.
That was
very few.
That is exactly my point. So, was he the head AD of all that? No. He was obviously the deputy AD, and he operated a very rare program that is in the black and has increased revenue over the last couple of years. So, if you have questions about whether or not he can generate revenue, there's your answer.
Yeah, and again, I think it just comes down to whether or not you trust the people that were sitting at that table. If you trust all the people that were on the leadership committee to look for the next athletic director, if you trust all the people that came together and decided Roger Denny is our guy, then you shouldn't beef with this hire. It doesn't mean you have to have massively high expectations. It doesn't mean you have to come in with the belief that he's going to be here for 28 years like Joe Castiglione was or anything like that. But if you trust the people that were in the room where it happens, as they say, then I don't know why on earth you would be upset with the Roger Denny hire. You don't have to be blown away by it. That's fine. But Oklahoma was very, very intentional in putting together that committee such that the interests of numerous sports were represented, the perspectives of numerous individuals of varying ages and backgrounds and experiences were all considered. And in the end, Roger Denny was the guy that they landed on. Craig in Cleveland says, waiting for this question at Denny's introductory presser. Yeah, Roger, are you going to fire Porter Moser tomorrow or after the season? If he's taking the reins on February 15th, oh boy.
Oh.
We might be.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. It's coming. Like,
his first big decision as AD of the University of Oklahoma is right around the corner.
Yes, and I mean, it's really not much of a decision at this point as to whether or not you move on from Porter Moser. I think you have to move on from Porter Moser.
Mm-hmm.
The big decision is who's next?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who is the next head men's basketball coach?
And also, by the way, there is still buyout stuff that you're gonna have to work with in terms of Porter Moser if you do part ways with him too.
Ain't no doubt. 405-651-3439. Hit us up on the text line. One segment left today. One segment left on the week here on Locked In. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll be right back.
This is your home for Sooner fans. The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Hey, it's Tyler McComas with The Rush. Catch us every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Nobody covers Sooner football like we do, and the best way to stay tuned into the home of Sooner fans, no matter where you are, is with the KREF app presented by Warren Cat. Download the app from the Apple or Google Play Store and take us with you everywhere. Just search KREF in your app store and download today. The KREF app, presented by Warren Cat, whatever the job, whatever it takes.
For over 80 years, Primrose Funeral Service has been providing comfort and guidance during difficult times. Pre-planning with Primrose can help make things a little easier for families. Not only can you pre-plan a funeral, but you can pre-plan your sunset cemetery arrangements, which removes the difficulty of planning for a loss at the same time loved ones are experiencing one. Contact Primrose Funeral Service at 405-321-6000 or visit them online at primrosefuneralservice.com.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler Standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
Spring is almost here, and it's time to play ball. Registration is now open for UConn Spring Youth Baseball, T-ball, and softball. This is a local league open to kids ages 4 to 12 from UConn and the surrounding communities, focused on learning fundamentals, building confidence, and enjoying the game with friends. Registration closes on January the 31st, so don't wait. Sign up today at uconok.gov/catalog. Let's make it a great season.
Hey, it's Darinoka for Totally Tickets. Hey, Ref Army, you looking for the best place to buy tickets to your next OU game, Thunder game, or the best concerts? My friend Mike, call him Fletch, and Totally Tickets has you covered. Visit TotallyTickets.com to find your event today. Oh, and good news, Ref Army, just type in the promo code KREF and get up to 10% off your purchase. Go to TotallyTickets.com now. They are the best.
At Armstrong Bank, your business isn't just business to us, it's personal. Our bankers are invested in your success, and we're ready to build a relationship that lasts. You deserve a strong financial partner by your side. Together, we can help make your business even stronger with products and services designed for your convenience. To learn more, visit a location near you or visit armstrong.bank. Armstrong Bank, strength runs in our family. Member FDIC.
Seen a lot of this on social media and on the text line as well at 405-651-3439. Who's Roger Denny? Why on earth I never heard of this cat before? Folks, I think the brutal reality is that there was a 95% chance you had absolutely no familiarity with whoever the next AD was going to be. Like, be honest here. How many ADs do you know the names of?
I was about to say.
Across the country.
I can.
Like, okay, people would have known, like, let's say Oklahoma went and poached Kirby Hocutt from Texas Tech.
Sure.
Or they poached Michael Alford from Florida State, who has a background here. Or like Chris Del Conte from Texas. I would say the average fan probably knows the names of like 3 to 5 athletic directors outside of the AD at the University of Oklahoma. So there was a 95% chance your immediate reaction to OU's next AD hire was going to be, who's that guy? And we did have a text that I wanted to get around to from a verified source who does have some very good insight. He lives up in Indiana and texts in with some real solid information from time to time. He let us know on the text line that Denny's outside firm, before he got to Illinois, was responsible for and part of the Brad Underwood hire. Also part of the Brett Bielema hire. That's why he ended up at Illinois in their athletic department. 2 for 2 on key hires. Dude was the CFO for all of that. His firm was responsible for 2 of their major sports hires, both huge successes since 2017. What more do people want?
Yeah, and I just laid it out that he's been a part of Illinois doing some pretty big things financially, too.
We're going to have a lot of time to unpack the Roger Denny hire before he officially takes office on February 15th. But some other things I wanted to get around to before the end of the show here. This popped up on my Twitter feed, courtesy of Alex Schiffer, who's an enterprise reporter for Front Office Sports. The Charles Bediako case, if you're not familiar with that, we talked about it earlier in the week. Charles Bediako, former Alabama basketball player who entered the NBA draft, signed 3 NBA contracts, and apparently somehow gained immediate eligibility to come back to college basketball and rejoin Alabama this past week. This is golden right here. Per Alex Schiffer, the judge who granted Charles Bediako immediate eligibility for Alabama is a 6-figure donor for the Crimson Tide, while his wife is representing Darius Miles, his former teammate at Alabama, in his murder case.
In the capital murder case?
Yes. So, conflict of interest, anyone?
Well, the conflict of interest is no surprise to me because they brought that case in Tuscaloosa District Court or something like that. Somewhere in Alabama. I mean, what were the odds that the judge would be totally impartial to the University of Alabama?
I mean, isn't that the same thing Ole Miss is trying to do with Trinidad Chambliss right now? Get that case in front of a judge with some rebel ties? It's the way of the world, folks. That's the way of college athletics these days. There's a lot of deals that get struck in the back room somewhere. 405-651-3439 if you want to hit us with any final text before we wrap up the show. Saw this earlier today as well. The University of Georgia just became the first big time offer for a kid that's right here in the state of Oklahoma that doesn't actually hold an OU offer in the 2027 class yet. That is Caleb Dillard out of Jenks.
Good player, too.
Yeah, picked up a Georgia offer yesterday. That is, I would say, one of the few kids in the state of Oklahoma in the 2027 class. There aren't many of them right now that I would consider OU good that haven't picked up the OU offer. I think Caleb Dillard is OU good. We've talked about Grayson Howell. I think Grayson Howell is OU good. I really don't know what he is at the next level. I don't know that it matters. I think he very realistically could be a high-level P4 contributor at 3 or 4 different positions, but he doesn't hold an Oklahoma offer either. And I think the main reason why Grayson Howell doesn't hold an Oklahoma offer is because if they were going to offer him, they would offer him as a quarterback. But right now, Oklahoma's sole focus at quarterback in the 2027 cycle is on the young man that Ben Arbuckle visited with yesterday in Saraland, Alabama, Jamison Roberts. Jamison Roberts, who has held an OU offer since late November, is the target right now for OU. And, Grayson, what do we think about this? Obviously, Jamison Roberts is an excellent football player, highly deserving of that offer and the pursuit from Oklahoma. Almost 60 total touchdowns as a junior this past year at Saraland, led them to a state runner-up finish. He can ball, and there are more and more P4 programs that are getting involved in his recruitment every single week. But do you think it would be in OU's best interest, given how much Jamison Roberts' recruitment has blown up over the last couple of months to keep a couple options on the burner, if you will?
Of course. Of course it is.
Is it about time, you think, that Oklahoma offers another quarterback in the 27 cycle?
I think it is, because you went this route. I mean, think about this. You've gone this route 2 years in a row, and it has gotten dicey, where you're telling somebody you're the only guy. They did it in the 2026 class with Jaden O'Neal. Now, they came out of that okay, but that turned into a fiasco between O'Neal and then Arbuckle's arrival, and then Bo Bentley enters the equation. They did it in 2027 originally with Peyton Houston. Peyton Houston goes to LSU, and in a rocky ending to that recruitment. I don't know if you want to go down this road again, because 2 cycles in a row, it's turned into quite a circus, for lack of a better word. So, yes, I would say it's time. It's time to at least, I would even go as far as to say, if there's a dude that you really like, offer a second guy to. I'm okay with that.
Drew from Flower Mound says, got to have some side pieces, is what Parker's saying. Well, not exactly. I mean, look, Ben Arbuckle did this before. He put all his chips in the into the middle of the table for Bo Bentley in the 2026 cycle, even while he had Jaden O'Neal committed. He kind of called his shot, and he hit it. Man, he got Bo Bentley, and that's great. If you're going to do that with Jamison Roberts, you're in 2027, there also has to be an understanding that there were some built-in advantages there with the Bentley recruitment that don't exist with Jamison Roberts.
Correct.
Geographically, there are other schools that make a lot more sense for Roberts than Oklahoma. He did not grow up an OU fan the way that Bo Bentley did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know Oklahoma has felt good about their standing with Roberts for quite some time. But Auburn just visited with him today. He was on campus with Georgia last weekend. There may come a point in time at which Alabama gets involved, even though they already have a 2027 quarterback commit in Trent Seaborn.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to fight off some stiff competition. I think Oklahoma and Arbuckle, they're capable of doing that. They're capable of doing that, especially with some of the success that they've had down there recruiting the Southeast the last couple of cycles. But the last thing you want is to be the one that doesn't have a chair when the music stops.
Exactly. Hey, speaking of stiff competition, about a week ago, and we never got to this, Samaj Stanford up at Broken Arrow released a top 12.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma's in it, along with the other who's of who's who. Where do you think Oklahoma stands with the BA safety?
Yeah, it's interesting. Talked to a well-placed source on the Oklahoma side of things just last night about Samaj Stanford. And I'll tell you what Oklahoma's feeling on it is. Oklahoma feels they have a seat at the table. They have no idea where the kid's leaning. They have no idea if there's a school that he's favoring right now. It all feels pretty wide open. The sense is that Stanford's a guy who's savoring the process and probably will continue to. And I would think he takes a full slate of OVs at this rate, unless somebody just sweeps him off his feet here in the next couple of months. I think that's going to be a recruitment that gets decided in OV season. But yeah, there's a couple in-state recruitments right now. I mean, Samaj Stanford, there's a lot of uncertainty over where he winds up. Gabe Osborne, it's kind of the same thing. I like Oklahoma there in the long run. I think they have the edge and will maintain the edge. But you got Ohio State, and you got Texas, and you got Georgia, and you got LSU all in the mix for Gabe Osborne. And they're closing the gap. Those two in-state tight ends that hold OU offers. Ben Kolar, Titus Hawk. I feel a lot better about OU's chances with Kolar than I do Hawk right now, but it's a long way from over with those two.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'd never count this among the things I never thought I would be saying. The tight end that I feel the best about right now in 2027 as it pertains to Oklahoma, the guy I think Oklahoma has the strongest chance with at this particular time, Adam Schefter, is the number one tight end in America, Seneca Driver from the state of Kentucky. If I were placing bets right now, if you told me I could only bet on one tight end target that Oklahoma lands in the 2027 cycle, I would put my money on Seneca Driver.
Okay.
And then the question becomes, who's number 2? Is it Golar? Is it Hawk? Is it a guy like Zach Fairs from Las Vegas? And there are others. There will be others that Oklahoma stays engaged with as we unwind here. But, yeah, those in-state recruitments, those high-profile in-state recruitments, Stanford, Kolar, Osborne, Hawk, and others will obviously keep close tabs on those in the weeks and months to come. But for today here on Locked In, for this week here on Locked In, we're done. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton will be right back with you on Monday afternoon. The Rush is next here on The Ref.